I found a nice rental place. Rents 300, utilities not included, fully furnished, and no security deposit. For that, the landlord only had one rule: never knock on the black wall in the living room. Hearing that, I froze for a sec. The black wall the landlord mentioned was right behind the living room couch. The whole wall was painted this creepy black. Up close, it even had a sharp smell, no matter how you looked at it. It just didn't fit with the rest of the furniture. The landlord's explanation was, the place was originally a 3-bedroom 2-bath. To make it easier to rent, he split it into 2 units. That black wall was a partition. It is thin and not soundproof. As he said that, Uncle Wang the landlord glanced at the black wall. He whispered, your neighbor really hates noise. If you go banging on the wall, it'll bother him. Hearing that, I got it and agreed right away. Out of all the places I'd seen, this one was my favorite. Even though it was in an old neighborhood, the price was cheap. The decor was decent enough. For a fresh grad like me who was jobless, it was definitely the best choice. The day I signed the lease, I moved my stuff in. The place was a bit messy, with a lot of stuff left by the last tenant. They seemed to have left in a hurry. They didn't even take the clothes hanging on the balcony. I spent the whole afternoon getting the place mostly cleaned up. That night, lying in bed, through the door, I could see that black wall. The paint was spread evenly. It looked like a bottomless pit. Staring at it too long gave me a real uneasy feeling. I mentally cursed Uncle Wang's weird taste again, but didn't think much of it. Until late at night, half asleep, I heard some strange knocking. Knock, knock, knock. At this hour, who could it be? Who is there? I rubbed my eyes and mumbled something. A long moment passed. Nobody answered. I listened carefully. Then, I realized no one was knocking at my door. The sound was coming from the next apartment. Maybe I was just too tired from the day. I figured it was better to leave it alone. So I covered my ears and went back to sleep. But what I didn't expect was that the knocking happened every night, almost like clockwork around midnight. 3 days later, I couldn't take it anymore. I went to the neighbor first thing in the morning, dark circles under my eyes, ready to confront them. But I knocked several times, and no one answered. I checked with Uncle Wang, but his phone went straight to voicemail, with no other option. I had to just leave. As soon as I got downstairs, I saw Aunt Zhang from the same building doing her fitness routine. When she saw me, she walked right up and said, Shao Su, off to another interview today. I smiled and nodded. Sent out a few resumes, just testing the waters. Aunt Zhang is a nice lady. The first day I moved in, I didn't know anything, and she took me around the neighborhood a couple of times. After a little chit-chat, I asked, Auntie, do you know the person in apartment 601? Lately, they've been knocking on the wall at night, keeping me awake. At this, Aunt Zhang's face changed slightly. Knocking on the wall? What wall? Is it that black wall? You know about that wall too? I couldn't help but be surprised. Is it that famous? Before I could finish, Aunt Zhang grabbed my hand. Suddenly, all traces of her friendliness were gone, and she became really agitated. She said, is it that black wall? I was startled. Yeah, that is the one. That wall isn't damaged, is it? Aunt Zhang looked tense. She asked frantically, is the paint peeling off? Any cracks? I told her no to everything. I answered no. Aunt Zhang finally calmed down. Realizing she lost her composure, she said quietly, this building's decades old, and you live on the top floor, the 6th. I'm worried about wear and tear. What if it collapses? You know what I mean? Pretty dangerous. The way Aunt Zhang flipped like that made me want to keep my distance, but I still stayed polite on the surface. I kept nodding, yeah, safety first. Seeing me agree, Aunt Zhang looked satisfied and got ready to leave, but she barely took a few steps when she suddenly turned back. Oh, right, Shao Xiu. Aren't you the only one who just moved into 602 on the 6th floor? The rest are empty. Where'd you get a neighbor? Right next door, 601. They moved in before I did. I thought Aunt Zhang had it wrong, so I was about to correct her. Wait, are you saying 601 is knocking on the wall? Aunt Zhang glanced around, then lowered her voice. You sure? I looked certain, positive. They've been knocking for 3 days straight. 3 days. Could it be Aunt Zhang herself? As if she thought of something terrifying, her face went pale instantly. I frowned slightly. Yeah, what's wrong? Nothing at all. Aunt Zhang stiffly turned her head and walked away dazed. I didn't get it, but I didn't press further, since I had an interview to get to. I had to catch the subway, so I put the neighbor thing on hold. After the interview, I came back to the complex and saw a little boy standing at my door. His name was Ha Ha Ha. Around 7 or 8 years old, also a resident of this building. He's a helpful kid, asking me every day if I had any trash to throw out, saying he's taking part in a charity event. He comes by every day asking if I have any trash to take out. He says he is doing it for a charity event. Seeing him cheered me up a bit. Hao Hao, we don't have any trash today. Don't bother waiting. Hey Hao Hao turned his head. Are you sure? I said as I unlocked the door. I already took out the trash this morning. I was out all day, so there is hardly any at home. Hearing there was no trash, Hao Hao's face turned red with anger. No, no, no. Next time, you gotta save the trash for me. I'll take it out. Seeing how persistent the kid was, I smiled and said okay. After opening the door, Hao Hao casually glanced inside. His eyes were fixed on the black wall. He stared for a long time. Seeing how curious he was, I said, wanna come in and sit for a bit? No. I'd better not. Hao Hao quickly shook his head and ran off like he was escaping. After Hao Hao left, I knocked on 601's door a few more times. Still no one answered. I couldn't tell if they didn't dare to open it, or if no one was really there. When night came, the weird knocking sounds started again. I was already annoyed from job hunting, so I stormed over angrily and punched the black wall hard. I yelled, "It is late at night. Have you got no decency?" It paused for 2 seconds. Then the knocking kept going. Thump, thump, thump. Seeing that, I was furious. I went and banged on the neighbor's door, but still, no one answered. I couldn't take it anymore. I decided to press my ear against the black wall and listen to what they were doing. Soon, the knocking grew louder in my ears, but besides that, in the middle of the knocking, I also heard something else. It sounded like a woman crying. The crying was super creepy, coming in fits and starts. Thinking about Aunt Zhang saying the next door was empty, a chill went straight from the soles of my feet. After thinking it over, I didn't dare knock again. Instead, I stuck the action camera in the corner of the hallway. If someone was there, they'd come out sooner or later. If not, I didn't want to think about it. That was terrifying. The next day, Hao Hao was already squatting at my door early. When I opened the door, he was already bored and drawing on the wall. Looked like he drew a triangle. I handed him the trash. I asked, Hao Hao, do you know the person in 601? How come I never see you ask them for trash? Hao Hao was startled. He looked at me with a weird expression. 601 is empty. Can't get trash from them. My heart skipped a beat. If the next door was empty, where did that sound come from? Seeing Hao Hao hadn't left yet, I glanced at him. He asked me, are you going out now? I made up a quick excuse. Not going out. Feeling a bit sick today. Gonna rest. Hao Hao nodded, picked up the trash and left. I closed the door, staring hard at that black wall. I had a strange uneasy feeling I couldn't explain, like something was crawling on my back. Right then, I noticed the wall paint peeling off. Maybe it fell off from me pounding the wall last night. I picked up the paint chips from the floor and found a strand of hair inside. It was black and long, and even had a faint scent of shampoo. And that shampoo smell was the same brand I use. How could there be a woman's hair on the wall? Feeling the texture of the dark wall, I had an urge to smash it open. So I went to my toolbox and grabbed a hammer. But just as I took it out, someone knocked on the door. The neighborhood security guard was sweating buckets. Probably ran all the way up. He rushed in and said, Aunt Zhang, he jumped off the building. Aunt Zhang is dead. Leaped from the rooftop of the building. Splattered on the ground like mud. All the residents in this building were questioned by the cops. No conclusion was drawn. Aunt Zhang's death was ruled a suicide. After the questioning, I glanced at apartment 601 next door. Then I grabbed the action camera I'd left in the corner. After that, I plugged the camera into charge and started watching the footage. As time ticked by, the door to 601 stayed shut the whole time. Never opened. I got to the end of the video. About 10 minutes left. I wasn't expecting much anymore. I could confirm that apartment 601 next door was empty. Nobody living there. Why would Uncle Wang lie to me? If that is the case, then where did the thumping sounds in the middle of the night come from? Thinking about that, I glanced at the video without thinking. In the footage, I saw Hao Hao walking over from the end of the hallway. Then he stopped in front of my door. He paused for a moment, then pressed his ear against my door, like he was listening for something. 2 minutes later, he wiped off the triangle he'd drawn on the wall next to my door and drew a circle instead. A secret signal. He was watching me. I shivered all over. My scalp tingling. I kept watching. About 5 minutes later, people started showing up one after another. The first one to show up was the landlord, Uncle Wang, then Hao Hao's parents, security guard Long Ji, and Grandpa Li. There aren't many tenants in this building, but they all came in the footage. Uncle Wang glanced around at everyone, grinned and said, "This tenant is just a greenhorn, fresh out of college, useless. Get ready to find the next one." Security guard Zhang Dalong asked, "So what do we do with him?" Like Wang Dandan used to feed the black wall. As soon as he said that, everyone had different expressions on their faces. Some were vicious, some were cold, and some were determined. Totally different from the nice faces I usually see on them. Uncle Wang waved his hand and directly opened my door. The others swarmed right in. I had so many questions in my head. Who is Wang Dandan, and what does use to feed the black wall mean? Is the black wall alive or what? I checked the recording time. The cutoff was 10 minutes ago. So that means 10 minutes ago. These people entered my house. If that is the case, did they leave by now? Or are they still hiding in some corner? These people were acting way too weird. If I call the cops right now, I could totally report them for breaking and entering. But if they're still hiding in the house, then I might be under their surveillance right now. The cops probably wouldn't even get here before something happens to me. Realizing that, I grabbed the claw hammer from the slanted cabinet and started searching every corner of the house. I didn't miss a single spot. I checked pretty much every place someone could hide. Luckily, I didn't find anyone. But even though I didn't find anyone, I did find something else. Under the couch, I saw a notebook with a pink cover. It had a cloud pattern on it. On the cover, it said 3 words, Wang Dandan. Obviously, this is Wang Dandan's notebook. I opened the notebook, and most of the pages had already been torn out. Most of the inside pages are already torn out. Only a few pages were left. On those remaining pages, there was writing. Wang Dandan had written a few carefully thought outlines in red ink. My name is Wang Dandan, and I'm the current tenant of this apartment. If the next tenant finds this notebook, I hope you'll get out as fast as you can. That wall eats people. If you don't leave now, you'll be eaten by that wall too. This place is a nightmare. Don't trust anyone. And definitely don't try to figure out the secret of the black wall. Run, get out now. The farther, the better. Wang Dandan was the previous tenant. This was his warning. Reading this, I started to piece together a lot of things. Wang Dandan probably found out the secret here. No wonder he didn't even take his clothes off the balcony. Because the previous tenant, Wang Dandan, never actually left. He was eaten by the black wall. I calmed myself down, ready to dial 911. But just as I was about to hit the button, I heard a sloshing sound of water. I looked up, and the black wall was actually moving. I was so scared. I flinched and dropped my phone. What is this thing? The surface of the black wall looked like thick gooey liquid, squeezing out dense, snake scale-like. I tried to escape, but I was swallowed right in. My consciousness went dark instantly. No, I gasped for air. Waking up in bed, I checked my body. Not a scratch. I even pinched my thigh. And it hurt so bad, I grimaced. I'm still alive. In my fading memory, I vaguely remember being swallowed by the black wall. But now, nothing happened to me. I rubbed my temples, trying to recall what happened in between. After being swallowed by the black wall, countless jumbled fragments of memories scrambled around in my head. I felt like my brain was about to explode. But no matter how hard I tried to remember, I couldn't recall a single bit of what happened after being swallowed. I got out of bed and went to the living room. That black wall stood there silently. It was still the same as before. Smooth, flat yet sinister. While I was puzzled, someone knocked on the door. I opened it. Hao Hao was standing outside, holding a bag of fruit. He looked at me with concern. My mom said, eating more fruit is good for you when you're sick. Maybe I'd find answers from him. I smiled and took the fruit basket. Thanks, Hao Hao. With all this fruit, I'm sure I'll recover soon. Hao Hao's little eyes lit up. He said excitedly, really? Sister Dandan, you better not be lying to me. I froze. What did you call me? Sister Dandan. Hao Hao looked confused. Isn't that right? I suddenly thought of something. I rushed to the bathroom. In the mirror was a short-haired girl in her 20s. Delicate features. A slight upturn at the corners of her mouth. Kind of cute. But that wasn't me. Hao Hao hurried after me. Sister Dandan, what is wrong? I swallowed hard. What is my name? Dan, Sister Dan, how can you forget your own name? Hao Hao scratched his head. Your name is Wang Dandan. Wang Dandan. No, I'm Xiu Jing. Not Wang Dandan. Why is this happening? Maybe I felt something. I couldn't help but look at the black wall in the living room. It must be him messing with things. I used resting as an excuse to send Hao Hao away. Once I was sure he was gone, I grabbed a hammer from the toolbox and slammed it hard against the black wall. One hit after another. Crack. A crack quickly spread across the black wall. After nearly 15 minutes, with a thunderous crash, the black wall collapsed, revealing what was behind it. The moment I saw it clearly, my body started shaking uncontrollably. A terrifying fear I can't even describe felt like it was ripping my scalp off. It scared me so bad, I screamed instantly. This is a person inside the wall. But this person barely looked human anymore. Like a flattened piece of meat. The stench in the air was thick, making my stomach churn. I barely managed to hold back the urge to throw up. I pulled myself together and poked at the person's head with my hand. The head was completely soft. The face had turned to mush. My head was buzzing. I forced a few words out of my throat. This is me, that is right. The corpse in the wall is me. Am I already dead? I stared at my own hands in terror. I'm dead. Now my body is Wang Dandan's. What is going on? It is some kind of supernatural event. Drip. That was the sound of liquid hitting the floor. I looked up blankly and saw thick blood starting to seep from inside the black wall. At first it was just a little, but in less than a minute, more and more blood poured out, like a burst pipe. Gushing out in streams, I let out a loud yell, rushed out the door, and ran to the 5th floor. The door to Hao Hao's apartment was open. 2 terrifying monsters stepped out. One had 3 heads and 6 eyes. The other had hands covered in tongues. Dandan, come to my place. Hurry up. You can tutor Hao Hao. He is stuck on a few math problems. My limbs went numb. My throat felt dry. As I rasped, Hao Hao. He can handle it himself. Sister Dandan, why are you lying? Hao Hao's voice came from behind me. I really don't get these problems. I spun around quickly, shoved Hao Hao away from me in a panic. All the features on Hao Hao's face were gone, leaving just one huge eyeball. Seeing Hao Hao hit the ground, I turned and ran. I made it to the 3rd floor and saw security guard Zhang Dalong just coming out of his apartment. I quickly called out, Brother Long, something's wrong. Hao Hao's whole family turned into. Before I could finish, Zhang Dalong's skin began to melt, turning into a liquid monster. His huge mouth opened and closed. What did Hao Hao's family turn into? Without another word, I kept running downstairs. A monster wearing Uncle Zhang's clothes came out. It was covered in legs, crawling on the ground like a centipede. I didn't dare stop. I sprinted straight to the 1st floor. Everything had turned into monsters. Soon, I got outside and quickly hailed a cab. Driver, to the police station. You got it. Hold tight. The next second, the driver's head twisted 180 degrees, revealing landlord Uncle Wang's face. Before I could open the door, Uncle Wang's neck shot out, and his massive jaws ripped my head right off. The scene before me spun wildly, as if countless worlds were shifting and rotating. When my eyes focused again, my phone buzzed. A message popped up on the screen. Wang Dandan isn't dead yet. She is just trapped. I know you have a lot of questions. I'll tell you in person. I asked. Who are you? Where are you? They replied instantly. I'm outside your door. I got up and peeked through the peephole. Outside the door was a long-haired girl, wearing sportswear, with delicate features, sharp yet beautiful. After thinking it over, I opened the door. The long-haired girl quickly slipped inside, reached out her hand, and introduced herself. Hello, Sijing, I'm Shuman, Wang Dandan's good friend. I looked down at myself, and I was back to my normal self. I said, a bit slow on the uptake. Hi. After the quick intro, Shuman didn't beat around the bush. She cut straight to the chase and told me what she knew. According to her, the black wall is a door connecting to another world. Inside that wall is a twisted, crazy dark world. Wang Dandan is trapped in that dark world. People outside can get in, but those inside can't get out. Hearing that, I started to understand. I just saw a bunch of monsters back there. Is that the other world? Yeah, Shuman nodded. I interrupted, frowned, and shook my head. That doesn't add up. You just said you can get into that other world, but can't get out. But why did I get out? Shuman gave me a deep look and said slowly, word by word. Are you sure you actually got out? My guard went up. What? I didn't. There is more than one other world. Shuman shook her head. Where we are now isn't the Earth, you know. Ever since you moved into this building, I had already left the original world. I thought back carefully. Yeah, that is true. Ever since I moved into 602, the weird thing is, it just kept happening, one after another. After a moment of silence, I asked, how do we get out? Find the key. Where is the key? Hearing that question, Shuman paused for a moment. She looked serious. It was with Wang Dandan. He found the key, then the monster here found him. He got exiled to another world. My heart tightened. What about the key? Did it get exiled too? Shuman's eyes got a little red. He texted me before he got exiled. He hid the key. The key is still in this building. But where exactly? He didn't have time to say. I kinda got what Schumann was thinking. You're here to team up with me. Exactly. Schumann was pretty straightforward about it. After Wang Dandan, there was one more tenant in your apartment. Before you, it was me, after Dandan disappeared. I followed the clues here. But before I could find the key, I got exposed. I understood now. Purpose clear. I know you're safe. Smart. Schumann looked at me with approval. I thought about our current situation. This really was the best move right now. Alright, let's work together. Deal. Afterward, I acted like nothing was out of the ordinary. Wang Dandan found the key, but something messed it up. We just don't have enough info. What actually went down, all the little details, we know nothing about it. To find the key, we first need to figure out what happened to Wang Dandan, then piece together where it might be hidden. Once I had the logic down, I started paying attention to the people around me. They were all pretty good subjects to watch. I've noticed that, ever since Aunt Zhang passed away, people in my building have been watching me, keeping an eye on my every move. Every time I come or go from the complex, the moment I leave or return, Zhang Dailong picks up his walkie-talkie, clearly tipping someone off. Whenever I'm just hanging around the neighborhood, Uncle Lei shows up nearby. Out of nowhere, Hao Hao's parents will invite me over. Like it's just a neighborly get-together. Hao Hao is still the same as before. Every morning without fail he comes by to take out my trash. From what I've observed, he uses triangles and circles as marks. A triangle means I'm home. A circle means I'm not. For me, this is actually a good thing. They want to keep tabs on me, but I also need to interact with them. Tang Chao says clever. I didn't just casually ask around about Wang Dandan's info, but I was afraid of getting caught. So, I only poked around a little each time. A week passed. Schumann started getting anxious. No way. This plan's not working. They're clearly onto you now. I'm gonna go for it. Wait a bit longer. There is gotta be an in somewhere. After I talked him out of it a few times, Schumann finally listened to me. He said, if there is no lead in another week, then we'd have to try something else. He wanted me to help him kidnap Old Man Li by force and interrogate him by force. I agreed. Soon, 3 more days passed. Hard work pays off. I finally found a way in. On the weekend, Hao Hao was home alone. Maybe he was sent to keep an eye on me. He came over to hang out with me on his own. At my suggestion, we played a marble game. The loser had to take a punishment. Choose truth or dare. We went back and forth. Every time Hao Hao lost, he picked truth. I started with a few soft questions. When he lost for the 4th time, I got to the point. I asked, was the last renter in 602 a guy or a girl? A girl. Hao Hao lost for the 5th time. Was the renter before that in 602 a guy or a girl? Still, a girl. Hao Hao lost for the 6th time. Out of all the renters in 602, who is your favorite? My favorite is Sister Dandan. Hao Hao lost for the 7th time. Does everyone like Sister Dandan as much as you? Yeah. Everyone really likes her. Soon. Hao lost for the 8th time. Right. As I was about to ask where Wang Dandan went, he said, I don't want to pick truth anymore. It is no fun. I was stuck for a second. So I just made him do 10 squats. The next few rounds, I was a bit distracted, because Hao Hao stopped picking truth. This made it hard for me to fish for info. After a few rounds, I lost 3 in a row. Hao Hao said, grandly, can you stop picking truth? I want you to pick dare. I froze for a moment. Then, agreed. Hao Hao jumped up, excitedly. Al led me to the rooftop, pointed at the water tank, and said, in here. Swim, inside. I smiled, helplessly. This isn't a place to swim. The water is for everyone. If you dirty it, you'll get yelled at. You can swim. Come on, just go. I sensed something was off, so I guided him. Who have you seen swim in there? Sister Dandan. Hao Hao smiled innocently. I saw Grandpa Wang take Sister Dandan swimming in there. Sister Dandan is amazing. She can hold her breath for half an hour. The Grandpa Wang Hao Hao mentioned is Uncle Wang, the landlord of Unit 602, holding your breath in a water tank for 30 minutes. I had a bad feeling. I kept guiding him. That impressive. I don't believe it. You're lying, right? Hao Hao's face turned bright, and he said excitedly, it is true. It really is true. Grandpa Wang said he was teaching Sister Dandan to swim when he pushed her head underwater. He even had me time it. I suppressed the chill in my heart and said, then what? Then, Hao thought for a moment, and then I asked Grandpa Wang why Sister Dandan wasn't wearing a swimsuit. Mom always makes me change at the pool, put on swim trunks and a swim cap. I gritted my teeth. What did Grandpa Wang say? Grandpa Wang took off Sister Dandan's clothes, and he took off his own clothes too. Hao frowned, saying they were gonna work out together. I thought it was weird back then. Why? Sister Dandan wasn't moving at all. Grandpa Wang said, Sister Dandan fell asleep peacefully. Some things kids just don't understand. But in the eyes of adults, this is totally a horrifying and gross story. No, not a story. It is reality. Schumann came out of the shadows, knocked Hao Hao out cold. You could tell. He looked really pissed. My heart sank too. Was Wang Dandan really just banished to another world? Schumann's sadness was almost spilling over. His voice was raspy. The last half of the message he left me said this. I walked up to the water tank, checked inside carefully. At the bottom of the tank was a tangled light pink hair tie, rolled up into a tiny ball. Schumann wiped away his tears, spoke in a low voice. This is Dandan's hair tie. I gave it to her as a birthday present. I nodded, pulled out the hair tie. The second I grabbed it, I felt something was off. There was something inside. I untangled the hair tie, and inside was a small sealed bag. In the bag was a black flat square piece. What is this? A key. It is the key Dandan left behind. My heart leaped. I grabbed Schumann, ready to leave. This isn't the time to be sad. Let's go now. Schumann was turned sideways to me. Didn't move a step. I was confused. Followed her gaze to the stairway on the rooftop. And there against the pale wall, poked out a face even paler, an old face. His mouth cracked open, showing a mouthful of yellow teeth. Where do you think you're going, bastard? It is that old bastard, the landlord. He pulled a kitchen knife from behind his back, grinning cruelly. Says, we got too careless. Something this huge got found out. Schumann and I exchanged a look. Meaning was clear. Make a run for it. Seeing this, the old bastard blocked the stairway, but his eyes were staring behind us. Hao Hao. Hug them right now, just like you hugged Sister Dandan last time. Do it right, and I'll give you some chocolate. Hao Hao got up from the floor, all groggy. When he heard there was chocolate, he ran straight at us. You're no good either. Schumann's eyes turned cold. She kicked Hao Hao away. Let's go. I grabbed a brick from the ground and slammed it right into that old bastard's head. The old bastard dodged forward and lunged onto the rooftop. Taking that chance, me and Schumann ran downstairs, but we only made it to the 6th floor. Before we even got to the 5th, we saw the stairs were packed with people coming up toward us. Security guard Zhang Dalang had a twisted expression. He yelled, hurry up, block the way. If they get away, we're all screwed. Right behind him were Hao Hao's parents and Uncle Lai and the others. No other choice. Me and Schumann ran back up to the 6th floor and returned to room 602. Bang bang bang, bang bang. The old security door was being slammed hard, making a rumbling noise. The cement around the edges cracked. Debris kept falling off. My face turned grim. How do I use the key? Just go straight into the black wall. Can't get in. Schumann shook her head. Her expression was serious. The black wall is the entrance, but not the exit. I asked, where is the exit? Schumann replied, Guangming Dadao, 001. You kidding me? I was totally stunned. Guangming Road is 2 blocks away. Why didn't you say that earlier? Schumann had no expression. Would it have made a difference if I said it earlier? You wouldn't have gone anyway. Bang! Another chunk of cement fell from the doorframe. Through the gap in the door, I could already see the ugly faces of the people outside. They had reverted to their true forms, turned into a monster. I glanced at the gas canister in the kitchen. My expression turned fierce. Damn it, there is just no way. I'll just take them down with me. No. There is still a way. Schumann's voice came from behind. He was on the balcony using the curtains and batting to tie together a rope and lowered it from the 6th floor. Sujin, hurry up. I was about to say ladies first, but he didn't give me a chance. He handed me the rope. You go first. I've got some scores to settle with them. Seeing me hesitate, he just shot me a look. I was hesitant and started climbing down. A few minutes later, I landed safely. I was about to tell Schumann to come down, but the next second, Schumann cut the rope. You go to number 001, Guangming Road first. There are helpers there. Schumann was holding 2 kitchen knives. His hair a little messy, but his spirit was soaring, like a savior from heaven. I knew this wasn't the time to be indecisive. I grabbed a shared bike and paddled with all my might, like my life depended on it. Only by finding help sooner could I save Schumann. Time had never felt so long. Space seemed to stand still. Arriving at number 001, Guangming Road, I was almost completely drained. The bike crashed heavily to the ground. 2 people in uniform rushed out from inside with concerned looks. Sir, are you okay? Are you alright? I took out the key and handed it to them. Qingshan District, Building 3, Unit 1, Room 602. Go save someone, quick. They took the key, responded swiftly, and drove off. At the same time, I was helped into the lounge. They prepared water and bread for me and asked me to explain what happened. I told them the whole story in detail. Not long after, the team that was dispatched returned. Whether it was Wang Dong or Zhang Delong, or even Hao Hao, they were all under control. I looked around. But I didn't see Schumann anywhere. I couldn't help but ask, "You were supposed to save them. What's wrong with you guys? Where's Schumann?" The guy I asked just shook his head. Then, he walked away. I was about to blow up when a man who looked like a leader came up to me. He thanked me. "MSRSU. Thank you for the memory card you provided. This is crucial evidence." Memory card. Evidence. I was confused. I looked at the sealed bag in his hand. That was the key I brought. It was black. A super thin square object. It really was a memory card. The key was a memory card. I felt dazed. I muttered under my breath. "Then, what about Wang Dandan and Schumann?" Seeing me stay quiet, he continued. "Regarding the disappearance of Wang Dandan and your fiancé Schumann 3 years ago, we've already opened an investigation. Inside that black wall, we dug up their remains." My mind went blank. Fragments of memories swirled, slowly piecing together a heartbreaking truth. The disappearance 3 years ago, on May 20th. 3 years ago, Wang Dandan vanished. That day was supposed to be my wedding day with my fiancé Schumann. Wang Dandan was the special guest in charge of hosting. The night before, May 19th, Wang Dandan sent a distress message to Schumann. Schumann grew up in an orphanage, and Wang Dandan was her best friend. After seeing that message, she immediately rushed to Qingshan Apartments, but she found nothing. Wang Dandan was completely gone. When they reported it to the police later, all the residents in Building 3, Unit 1 of Qingshan Apartments were accomplices. They had cleaned up all the evidence. The cops couldn't find any leads at the scene, so the case was shelved. Because of this, Schumann and I missed our wedding date. We started over and decided to get married on National Day. Wang Dandan's disappearance became a knot in Schumann's heart. Their bond was closer than family, stronger than blood. He kept investigating quietly on his own. Not long after, Schumann secretly rented the apartment where Wang Dandan used to live. Around that time, my company sent me abroad for training. I was too busy to notice. I just wanted to make more money, so I could give her a better life someday. But we never got that future. One day, I couldn't reach Schumann anymore. She vanished without a trace. The police got the report, and they launched an investigation right away. Whether it was Wang Dandan or Schumann, both disappearances were tied to Qingshan residential area. The police obviously had their suspicions. But suspicions were just suspicions. They had no evidence. These people worked way too well together. They cleaned up all the traces. The case dragged on for a year, 2 years, 3 years, still, no results. My mental state kept getting worse. I even started having hallucinations. My parents took me to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor said it was the early stage of a mental disorder. Whatever. It just meant I'd eventually become a lunatic. But before I completely lost my mind, I had to do something. At least find my lover. So, I rented apartment 602 at Building 3, Unit 1, in Qingshan residential area. 3 years later, the case finally closed. That old bastard, the landlord of apartment 602, Wang Daquan, confessed to everything. From the moment Wang Dandan moved into apartment 602, Wang Daquan had his eyes on her. This repressed old man was seriously twisted. One night, Wang Daquan used his spare key to sneak into apartment 602. He drugged Wang Dandan, then assaulted her, and recorded a video. Over the next few months, Wang Daquan used the video to threaten Wang Dandan, assaulting her multiple times. Wang Dandan was young, pretty, full of youthful energy. Wang Daquan loved that feeling. A guy like him couldn't get a wife when he was young, and just got creepier as he got older. If he could, he would keep playing with Wang Dandan forever. Wang Dandan was like a tightly compressed spring, just waiting for the day to explode. He was waiting for his good friend Schumann to get married. At Schumann's wedding, he was the host. He didn't want anything to mess up Schumann's happiness. Even more, he didn't want people gossiping behind her back. But one day, everyone's eyes were opened, except for the first time. Every time Wang Daquan assaulted Wang Dandan afterward, Wang Dandan secretly recorded it on video. Once, May 20th passed, she would call the cops. But as luck would have it, on the night of May 19th, Wang Daquan found a hidden camera. That totally pissed off Wang Daquan. That night, Wang Dandan screamed for help. She shouted so loud, the whole building heard her. But no one stepped up. They just let Wang Daquan drag her onto the rooftop, shove her head into the water tank, and drown her alive. Li Haohao, who was playing nearby, saw it all. Wang Dandan begged him for help, but Li Haohao was bribed with a piece of chocolate. Wang Daquan promised 2 chocolates, so Li Haohao happily helped hold down Wang Dandan's struggling legs. After Wang Dandan died, Wang Daquan walled her up. He sealed it to stop the smell, but still worried it might leak out, so he painted that wall black. Later on, Schumann went to investigate. Not long after, there was one more corpse inside that black wall. As for the other residents, In Building 3, Unit 1, they were all accomplices. In that building, from 80-year-old Grandpa Lee to 7 or 8-year-old Hao Hao, not a single one was innocent. If you ask what they did, at first, they did nothing. Later, they did everything. After Wang Dandan died, every other resident in the building took a hush payment from Wang Daquan. They didn't have to pay rent. The cops came to investigate. They didn't say a thing. Then Xu Man went missing. These people did it all. Wang Daquan was the ringleader. Zhang Shen was the one testing the waters. Old Li was the one slipping the drugs. Zhang Dailong was the one buying the bricks. Li Haohao's parents were the ones cleaning up the scene. As for Li Haohao, he was the lookout. Funny thing is, even when the trial came, they were still crying foul. Playing the victim, Old Li said. His son was a gambling addict. Lost everything he had. The bank even took his house to pay off the debt. Wang Daquan let him stay rent-free for 3 years, so he wouldn't end up on the streets. Li Haohao's parents said, society is too cutthroat. Money's getting harder and harder to make. Gotta grab whatever you can. It is all for the kids. If you don't take the money, you're a damn fool. Zhang Danlong said. He could only get a job as a security guard. It is all because people like Wang Dandan, who didn't go to school, stole his good job. One less college grad dead, less competition for jobs. If Zhang Shan were still alive, he'd probably say, women are gonna find a man anyway. Wang Daquan might be old, but he is still a man. Wang Dandan's almost 30, and she still hasn't found a man. Shameless. He was just trying to do right by Wang Dandan. But that clueless old guy never expected that Wang Dandan would die, just like his stupid idea that Wang Dandan's ghost came back for revenge. In the end, he got so scared he jumped off the building. Actually, before me, room 602 had a few other tenants. These people in the building worked together. They drug people in the middle of the night and steal a bunch of stuff. Lucky enough that no one got killed. When Wang Daquan rented to me, he was planning to rob me. Too bad I didn't bring much cash. The day the court announced the verdict, I went to the cemetery alone. Wang Dandan and Xu Man's graves were next to each other, shaded by the trees. A nice spot to cool off. It figures. I came to see her. Not long after, I went to the hospital again. The doctor said I was doing okay. I wasn't seeing things anymore, but I still felt like the black wall was there, just like in those dreamlike experiences back then. Exactly as Wang Dandan's diary recorded. That wall eats people. The black wall is like a mouth. It swallowed the evil, and it ate up people's hearts. I looked out the window, lights all aglow. A scene of prosperity, before Wang Dandan. Behind the black wall at 602 in Qingshan Complex, there was no one there. What about the black walls in other places? I don't know. And I'm not sure. In countless corners of cities, how many black walls are still undiscovered? The end.